Ladies and gentlemen, ladies, welcome to the show. Now, I know some of y'all are probably gonna get your dreams lined up to hear me say that I was wrong, but the joke's on you. I wasn't wrong. Anybody who listened to anything that I've ever said, you know for a fact that what I said from the very beginning is that in hindsight, I think that the officers should have done things differently. Said it from the very beginning. Are the officers cowards? We're going to watch the video. They don't look like cowards to me. Do they need more training? Could that have helped? Could they have done things differently? Could they have re-engaged when they were getting shot at? The answer is yes. Nobody said that it wasn't yes. But the difference is, before we get into this video, is that people started out saying from a video of them in the parking lot with parents saying they cowards. They cowards, they sit there for an hour. They had no video evidence of nothing that they were saying. They were making a judgment on people in a parking lot on the containment team. Wrong. They were wrong, and they still wrong. Let's go to the next point. Mother jumps over the fence, and she goes and saves her kids. On the video, do you see her going into that building and saving anybody out of any classroom? No. She went to a building, a place allegedly that had nothing to do with the shooting. And if you ask me, she broke protocol, and they should have, if what she's saying is true, they should have never let her into school, because you do not open the door in an active shooter situation. You keep on lockdown until you get the all clear. You don't open the door and let kids out if their parents show up. Why, Mr. Tatum? Because you don't know if their parents have custodial rights. You don't know if the shooter is coercing a parent to then leverage them to open doors up so you can go and execute more kids. You don't have that information. You don't open the door for nobody. Anybody that's a school teacher know exactly what I'm talking about. Don't move the goalpost now. They said they were just sitting in the hallway and they didn't do nothing. I'm going to show you on the video where they ran down the hallway all the way to the door and they ended up getting shot and retreating. The arguments that a person could have is that they should have re-engaged. If somebody have tactical experience and they understand the truth of the matter and they're willing to give that statement, I agree with you. They should have re-engaged. And then I'm going to go through and talk about who's what, who was where, when, where, and how. Walk you through the entire investigation from start to finish, because many people, and I'd say many people that are running their mouth right now ain't watched the interview, didn't watch the investigation, haven't read any investigatory documents, have no idea what they're talking about. You can say what you want to say in the comment section. I don't give a flying flip. Let's look at the video. So let's start at the beginning. The video shows the initial crash. Maybe I'll put some sound on it. The kid shoots his mother and grandmother in the face. He takes off down the street. He don't know how to drive, according to police reports, and he crashes into a ditch because he couldn't make a left turn properly. Boom. They get out to check on him. He started shooting with an AR at the guys at the funeral home. They retreat. Now, this is hard to listen to. I don't know if you guys can hear the sound, but this is hard to listen to. They should have never put this video out. Now, if you can't hear, I'm not going to fix the audio. All you need to do is watch it, and you can interpret what is happening here. They should have never put this part of the video out. You can put the officers in the hallway all you want. They should have never put this video out, because the parents should not have to be exposed to reliving a horror. Nobody should be exposed to this, but of course, in the spirit of trying to be viral, they put this clip out. Now, since they put it out, you're going to watch it with me. And for the fact checkers or the YouTube checkers, I'm doing this for educational purposes. I'm not doing this for shock factor. Educational purposes. Roll the clip. So what the teacher is saying right here, it seemed like once all the stuff started happening, the kids started running out of the classroom. They started scrambling. You can hear the shooter shooting through the doors from the outside of the school. Teachers yelling, Get in your room, get in your room, get in your room. Now, let's start with this fact. Cops are not in this picture. I don't see them anywhere. According to all the investigatory documents, it doesn't appear that they are right here when this is happening. Someone made a statement in an investigatory document that I read that the news took and misplaced and said that there was an officer that had his sights on the shooter. They didn't tell you that the officer was 140 yards away from what they perceived as his sights on the shooter. There's no way on God's green earth that an officer without a scope, without proper training, if you ain't a sniper, you don't have the round, would you take a shot from 140 yards away without even being able to diagnose if this is a shooter or not? According to the Uvalde mayor, the officer actually spotted a teacher who was on the playground with kids, and that's the person he spotted from 140 yards away. It wasn't the shooter. The shooter then entered the school unobstructed. The first breakdown and criticism should start right here. We'll get to the cops in a minute, but it should start right here. The school was incapable, and they did not act within protocol to lock the school down. When they got the call that there was an active shooter, the doors were not locked, the doors were not secured, and it led to this part that I'm about to show. This door is supposed to be locked. According to school protocol, according to active shooter training, these doors are supposed to be locked. I don't care whose fault it is, they'll figure it out later. See, now he clearly looks into these classrooms. He doesn't even make an attempt. Why wouldn't he make an attempt, ladies and gentlemen? These kids are not in this classroom. They're out at the cafeteria. There's nobody in the classroom to shoot. He walks past these classrooms. Now, I wish that I had a chance to meet him in his hallway and smoke him like a brisket, but, you know, the Lord didn't give me that possibility. Now, there's classrooms down the hallway that way. He clearly had his intent on going to the specific classroom. Thank God this kid didn't get hurt. He was in the bathroom, and he saw the guy, and he took off running. He shoot multiple rounds into the door before opening it. Now, let me just give you a fact pattern. According to school policy, according to lockdown protocol, every door in the school is locked. Every classroom door is locked. They can't unlock it. They can't manipulate it from inside the classroom. It is supposed to be locked. You can only use a key to open the door. All of these doors in the school are supposed to be locked. This door, all of these doors are supposed to be locked. For whatever excuse the school want to give, they did not follow protocol. They did not make sure the doors were secured where the kids could be protected from this very thing. He shoots at the door. Now, I don't know if you can hear it, but he's firing over 100 rounds into the two classrooms. Police show up several minutes later. 3 minutes later. Now, let's start with this. And put your thinking cap on. How many kids do you think are still alive at this point? Just keep that in your mind. The school made an incredible blunder. Before police officers ever showed up, they did not do what it takes to protect the kids from an assailant coming in the school building or in the classroom. He came in, he shot him. Now, let's talk about the police response, because the school failed the kids. Now let's get to the police. They come into the school. The tactical problem here is that they're coming from both ends of the hallway, which is not tactically savvy. Under pressure, lack of training, I don't know. But there's no reason they should be coming from both ends of the hallway, because if he pops out, they're going to be in a crossfire situation and it's going to be devastating. However, they didn't wait outside. They weren't hanging out there scared like the people originally said. They ran right into the school with no hesitation. This guy has a handgun. This guy has a rifle. The guys on that end had handguns. This guy's right up on the door. The officer on the other side is right in front of the door. This officer here is on his knees. I don't know what he's doing. He may be trying to look through the door. He may be trying to see if the shooter's still alive. Maybe if there's other people alive. They're pursuing the shooter in an active shooter situation. At this point, there is no issues with their response. Keep in mind also, because people are not going to tell you this, that none of their radios work inside of this building. They have zero communication with the outside public from in this school building. They have none. Now, tactically, it makes sense for them to get out of the hallway. If you're not engaging, you need to get out of the hallway so you don't end up in a crossfire situation. Tactics thus far, I can live with. And people were getting mad at him looking at his phone. Don't get me started. So the cops are getting shot through the walls. He believes he's hit. He believes he got hit. Now here's the issue. Now they skipped, and I want you guys to understand this. They skipped to 19 minutes later. You see the clock skip. I believe that when they retreated, they should have made an attempt to re-engage. That's my opinion. They should have made an attempt to re-engage. You have a guy inside they should have an awareness that this is an active shooter situation. I guarantee you they must have heard some shots before they got there. Their original approach was good. Their original approach made sense. They get shot and retreat. That's totally fine. You have to re-engage. Now, what the video doesn't tell you, and then people that don't look at any of the investigatory information, they don't tell you, is that after the shooting occurred between the officers in the hallway, there was no shooting for an extended period of time. No shooting. No shooting, no screaming. Officers are actively evacuating kids out of the adjacent classrooms and classrooms all along this building. They call on the radio after the initial shooting, and they dispatch to other agencies that they have a person who is a barricaded subject at Robb Elementary. Every officer that's now responding, from the best of my knowledge in the investigation, they're responding to a barricaded subject, which was, in my opinion, a mistake on the police part. They should have been telling them and making it very clear that they're responding to an active shooter. They're responding to a barricaded subject because of the way they dispatched it. How do you know this, Brandon? Okay. Trust me, I know. original shield. And this is what confuses a lot of people, and this is what makes it very difficult. These officers are responding to a barricaded subject. So holding containment, getting up equipment is reasonable if this was a barricaded person. And an active shooter, this is not reasonable. Ballistic shields. Initially, their ballistic shields were handgun shields. This was a handgun shield. This will not stop nothing. It is pointless. It is here for decoration. In an active shooter situation, it doesn't matter if this is a piece of paper. You got to go in and you got to address the threat. In a barricaded subject situation, this is no bueno for you. You wait till you get reinforcement. We need to be able to differentiate that the original officers were responding in an active shooter situation. These guys were showing up on the scene and being told that this guy is barricaded in the classroom. They weren't told that there was kids in there. They weren't told that kids were in there dying. They're under the impression that it's a barricaded subject. He's in the room. They're going to get a tactical team together and go execute, eliminating the threat. So as you see, time has elapsed. They got more people in the hallway. Why are they doing this, Mr. Tatum? Why are they in the hallway like this? They're responding to a barricaded subject according to their own testimony. If you listen to the DPS investigator, he said that every man in the hallway would have gone in and saved those kids if they had known the kids were in the classroom. I will repeat this because you ain't going to hear it from nobody else because they all got to drink the Kool-Aid. These guys don't know that this had been an active shooting situation. They don't know this. They're lining up. If this guy pops out, they're going to smoke him. Other than that, they need to get everything ready to go in and get him. There's no need to rush in a barricaded subject situation. Now, BORTAC is already here. And I told you guys from the very beginning, all you got to do is do a little bit of research. At 12:21, BORTAC is there. BORTAC is the baddest tactical team in the United States of America. If you are willing to argue with me that they're cowards, you're wasting your time. It appears that they've heard shots. Now, they are treating this like a barricaded subject. When they hear shots, now these guys are on alert, and they're like, wait, we got to move in. What? This guy's shooting. This ain't a barricaded subject anymore. We got to assess the issue and go in there and take him out. They get together. They team up. And they begin to move up on the door. All these guys are tactical, heavily trained individuals. These dudes, if I had to make a assumption, these dudes have been in situations that are way more dangerous than this. This probably not even close to what BORTAC have to go through as the Border Patrol SWAT team. So I wanted to just, put it in perspective that these guys are not cowards. Okay. I think people should understand that. They get to the door, and from this time to this time, see, they keep putting a time here to say 57 minutes. That's from when it first began. But time to shooting to the door, it's a little bit less than 10 minutes. And people were mad at this guy for using hand sanitizer. Give me a mother freaking break. This is irrelevant. But since the hypnotization of hatred towards these cops, everything they do is scrutinized. This guy don't have a gun in his hand. He's not actively involved, and it don't appear to be nothing. If you ask me, this guy may be on the rescue or medic team. If you ask me, he don't even have a gun. He ain't got one in his hand. He ain't doing no action. All of these guys down here are doing the action. You're going to see that there's going to be a group of guys here that are going to act on as a medical rescue team, at least in part. So the shooting starts. They breach the door. The bravest dudes that you've ever met went in the classroom face to face with this guy, and they got into a shooting back and forth. This is not coming into a classroom, looking at a guy reading them lullabies and having a conversation. This is life and death gunfight that's occurring in the classroom. Now, obviously, guys that on board tech team are the baddest dudes on planet Earth, and you ain't gonna make it too far in a gunfight with Bortec. They had rifle shields. They also had tactical deployment, and they're badder than he was. And so they killed a guy. Job done. Now, these guys, as you're going to see, there's going to be a strategy to it. If you look at it, they got a stretcher here. They got a stretcher over here. They're preparing for what we consider to be casualty rescue. This guy, these people back here all appear to be a rescue situation. So you look at it, this officer right here, it looked like they're holding him back. Some people say that this officer had a kid that was in the classroom dead. And, I think people are so hypnotized that they feel like that they're doing this guy an injustice. I'm sure all of these guys are friends and they know each other. And this guy's probably dealing with it in a very difficult way, which is imaginable. He's probably dealing with it like any father would deal with if their kid was in there dead. And they're here to support him. That's what I see here. Now, as you can see right there at the end, they don't show it all. They're starting to rescue kids out of the classroom. Now, I'm not going to burn my people, but the reason how I know some things that I'm talking about that most people may not be privy to, because I have people that are on that team. I have people in the eyeball range. And I got the information of what happened in the hallway, the communication, what happened in the hallway. I don't know what happened at the beginning. I don't know anybody from the beginning part. But what happened when they breached the door, what happened when they saw those kids, some of the graphic nature of what those kids look like, that information I have privy to. And the reason why I made this video is because for the people that are sane, the people that actually want to ask questions and want answers to questions, I'm here to give a synopsis or an explanation as far as the video. From the very beginning, because I listened to all the investigation, I watched the video, I was a cop, I was on a SWAT team, I had birdies who were telling me what was going on. I knew for a fact that in hindsight, they could have done things differently. I said it from the very beginning. It's easy for you to talk until you're right there in the midst of what's going on. I don't think that any of those officers were cowards. I think that they lacked training. I think that they lacked exposure. And there's no way you could train for some of this stuff. Now, if you were a cop, you probably know what I'm talking about. Other people, you have no idea what I'm talking about. In the movie world, you can train one time and you got every scenario that could ever happen down packed. In real life, you get into a scenario that you never trained for, all kinds of things go wrong. I believe that the police officers, the initial police officers, if I had a magic wand, I would have advised them to re-engage after being shot. But the reason I say that is because I know now that there were kids back there. I know now that there was multiple kids back there. I know now that he shot 100 rounds into that classroom. I know now that the door was not locked or potentially not locked. I know that now. So with the knowledge that I know now, my advice would be to re-engage. For the officers that showed up that had no idea this was an active shooter situation, they were told and briefed, and all the perception that they had was that it was a barricaded subject. In a perfect world, I would have made mention that it should have been communicated to them that it was a shootout that occurred before they got here, and that there was knowledge that there was kids in the classroom. Let me dispel some myths, and then I'm gonna do some Q&A. As you notice, they're not talking about the kids calling in anymore. Why are they not talking about the kids calling in? Because it has been proven, I don't say proven, through the investigation that when the kids were calling in, none of these people were getting that information. That came out of the investigation that people like to quote when he said it was an abject failure. But in that same investigation, he said that the officers that initially respond did the right thing. That's what he said. And then he also said if these officers had known the kids were in the classroom, they would have barged in and risked their lives. He said in the investigation that they did not have the information that kids were actually in the classroom. Now, you can say they should have known or whatever the case may be, but the same person that people are using that said it was an abject failure are the same people that are avoiding the fact that he said these guys did not know that there was kids in the classroom. And because of my birdies, outside of the investigation, they confirmed with me that these people did not know that they were walking into the situation we saw at the very beginning of the video. If they did, these guys would have been in there shooting and shooting and shooting. Why do you say that, Mr. Tatum, that they would have been in there shooting and shooting and shooting? Why would they start doing this if they're cowards? And they're cowards, right? The people online that I believe is not acting in good faith, they said that they were cowards. Then why are they doing this if they're cowards? This all of a sudden they come out of the trends of being a coward. All of a sudden they now care about the kids. No, it's because they got stimuli, and that stimuli led them to feel like they need to go in that classroom. And they took a tactical approach. 1, 2, 3, 4 guys begin to approach the classroom. Rifle shield. I think this is a rifle shield here. They brought up the rifle shields. I mean, let me not say that. I don't know if these are rifle shields or they gave them rifle shields from the other side of the room, but they had 2 rifle shields, and the guys went in. These are the same guys that are here in the hallway. I don't think it's a fair judgment to say these guys are cowards, and then all of a sudden they're not cowards. They're walking up to this hallway, and that guy can shoot them through the walls. These same guys that you saw sitting here initially are the ones in there shooting and killing this guy. They're not cowards. This is bad communication, and it's poor training at the beginning. That's what this boils down to. And this right here, when they do the autopsies, we're gonna find out how many kids lived to this point right here. How many kids lived to this point here? Everything that happened here is the school's fault. Everything that happened here is the school's fault. All the way up to here. This is the school's fault. They should have secured the doors. They should have protected their children. They didn't. Everything from here to here is the police officer's fault. They should have been better trained. They should have had better tactics. They should have made different decisions. They should have communicated with these guys in a more proficient way. They should have had interagency training, which it doesn't appear that they did. I'm going to say this again. From here to here is the school's fault. And some of y'all ain't going to want to hear that, but it's real. The doors was unsecured. He made his way in here before the cops got there. School's fault. Police fault. From here all the way through here. And you know whose fault lasts the duration of this entire video? Is this fool's fault. Everything that happened here is his fault. From here all the way to here. All of this, he takes 100% responsibility. Critique the school so that next time the schools are equipped, the schools can lock down, your students and your kids will be safe, and then critique it from here so that when the school fails or if the school succeeds, the police officers are better trained, they're better equipped, they have better resources, they communicate better, and they execute better. If you ask me, I'm the fairest person on the internet with Uvalde. I'm the fairest one. From the beginning, I did the research. All the way through the process, I watched 4.5 hours of that investigation from the DPS director. I looked at that 26-page document of findings. I listened to Uvalde police chief, the ISD chief, his statement. I listened to the mayor's statement. And I got birdies that were in that school engaging. All of that together is the presentation that I've been giving from the very beginning. And nobody should be able to, disagree with me unless you just want to disagree for the sake of disagreeing. And I just want the people to know in the comment section, especially the people that are have negative things to say, I don't care. I don't care. I told the truth. I did the research. You can say what you want to say. Don't follow me. I don't care. I'm not the one that shot nobody. I'm giving a synopsis based on my training and experience. And I will argue that 99% of the people who have negative things to say wasn't a cop, never put on a uniform, didn't look at any of the investigation, didn't watch the DPS director talk to Congress for 4.5 hours. You don't know the door jam situation. You ain't looked at nothing. You ain't heard the Uvalde police chief speak. You didn't look at his article. You ain't heard the transcripts. 99% of the people who are talking out of turn. That's why I do not care. You can put 77 minutes all you want. You can put cowards all you want. You can say I'm wrong all you want. I'm still Brandon Tatum. I still have a syndicated radio show all across the world. And I still got almost 2 million subscribers. And by the time you finish crying, I'll have 2 million subscribers. I'm going to make a video tomorrow, and then the next day, and then the next day, and the next day. And I'm going to stay consistent, and I'm going to be accurate in my approach every single time. I don't care what naysayers say. I don't care what your mama say. I don't care what influencers say who ain't never been cops. I don't care what cops say who ain't never been on a tactical team. I don't care what none of y'all say. I did the research. If you got more research than me, I want to talk to you. If you got birdies that were in there that told you what they saw and what happened in that hallway, I would love to talk to you. If you've been on a SWAT team or you've been on a tactical team, whether military or police, you've been shot at before, you've been through active shooter protocol, I want to talk to you. Other than that, good luck. All right, let me get these super chats real quick. I probably missed half of y'all super chats because I was talking. Let's see, $10. It says, I'm not saying that they were cowards. They messed up. You can hear the kids screaming on the video. If the video heard it, then those cops did too. Come on. Tatum, what's wrong with you, man? Well, first of all, you can't hear the kids screaming when the other officers were in the hallway. The initial officers, maybe you can. When the other officers in the hallway, you can't hear them screaming. So could you, for the life of me, get your points right? I love it when I don't mind a person disagreeing with me. Get your points right. Stop arguing with me about stuff that I ain't talking about. All right. Got some new members. Let's see. Warner versus DC, Castle Rock versus Gonzalez. Police were not legally obligated to protect them. Shut the I want to cuss. Shut up with that. Shut up with the police aren't legally obligated. Well, then why y'all talking then? If police aren't legally obligated, then what you talking? Who should be prosecuted then? Who's going to be prosecuted here? Who's going to be held accountable? Police aren't legally obligated to do nothing. Then why are they in the hallway? Explain this to me. This is why I don't understand. I have never met a cop that will say something stupid and adhere to some stupid court order. We are sworn to protect and serve. Why would these cops be in the hallway if they don't have no legal obligation to protect you? Then why would they risk dying for you? Why would they go in the classroom face to face with this guy and smoke him if they had no legal and there's no cop in America that believes in that. Every cop that put on that uniform are willing to die. I don't know how many times I got to show you. These guys, some of y'all would never do this. They were willing to die. They were willing to die. They put their life on the line. They didn't know if this guy was going to come out this classroom or not. They didn't know if he was going to come out or not. They didn't know if he was going to shoot through the walls or not. They ran right up to the front door. Okay. Anyway, more super chats. All right, for those who keep trashing law enforcement, it must be law enforcement. You're part of the problem. 100%. Who is this? Tory, 100%. The same people that saying, I back the blue. You can't wait for something to go south in law enforcement for you to be doing this. Where is he at? For you to be worried about this. The man get a hand sanitizer. Oh, they hate the kids. He got hand sanitizer. They wanted him to die. This man ain't got nothing to do with the firefight. He ain't got a gun in his hand. But y'all hate cops in your heart. You hate police. And you can't wait to throw them under the bus if they do something you don't like. You know, one thing that bothers me is that nobody sit back and consider that this guy's a human being. This guy's a human being. This guy's a human being. These are all humans. These are all guys in here putting this vest on and running down this highway, something that some of y'all ain't never signed up to do. Dan, can you at least give them credit for that? Some of these guys had kids in the classroom. So you braver and you care about the kids more than the man whose kid is in there. I don't see the video where the guy was escorted out of the hallway. I got to find that video. Maybe he was escorted out the other hallway. These cops know these kids. They know these teachers. You looking at TV. You think they don't care? You think they didn't think about the windows? You think they didn't think about going through the classroom? You think they were worried about their lives when their kids in the classroom? Their kids' friends are in the classroom. But you know better than they do. They're cowards and you're not. Their kids are there. They know the people in there and you don't, but you somehow know better than them. All right. Okay. Next question. We don't need your kind of SWAT hero. We don't need your kind of SWAT. Thank you for the $20. It took 77 minutes to go face-to-face with a punk with a gun shooting kids. I'd like to see your application to sign up tomorrow. That 77 is the same 10 people spamming it. Let's see. That 77 is the same 10 people spamming it. Just look like a lot. Leftists are effective at being nothing and seeming important. You can't fix low IQ. Don't try. Much respect for the video. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Lone Wolf 36s. Appreciate that. Two things can be true. You can back the blue while also calling out incompetence. I agree. If you know what incompetence is, if the initial officers heard kids screaming, why didn't they tell the rest of the officers, ? Since you claim the cops didn't know kids were in there screaming. Now think about this for a minute. I'm telling you, somebody in the hallway said they didn't know that those kids were in there. The DPS director says that the men in the hallway didn't know the kids were in there. They didn't know the kids were in there. So you like I get the question, but you're posing a question as I'm making this up. If a guy that was there is telling me, and a guy that was a part of this is telling me we had no idea the kids were in there. The DPS director in front of Congress, sworn under oath, said that those officers in the hallway, if they had known those kids were in there, they would have rushed in. It's not me. Go do the research. Now, picture this in your mind. So, hypothetically, they did tell the officers, and they just stood there. And then one day, they got enough nuts that they decided to go in and kill a guy. Which scenario makes sense to you? That they knew the kids were in there, and they sat there, and then they waited to build up enough courage to finally go in there and smoke the guy? Or did they not know that the kids were in there? Once they heard shooting, it was stimuli, and the tactical team said, we got to move. We hear stimuli, meaning we hear shooting. And then they went in and breached the door. Which one makes more sense to you? Okay. And I want to just say this because I know I get frustrated sometimes. I want to thank you for the people that are on here listening that want to hear the truth, want to know what's going on, and I thank you for that. You mean a lot to me. The trolls sometimes get under your skin. Daryl said only a couple of years of law enforcement, and this man thinks that he's Major Payne or something. Paul Blart as mall cop serving more time than you. That's why your wife looks like I don't know what Shrek. Okay. Thank you for the $20. I bet you my life you won't say that to my face. I bet you my life and your life that you won't say that to my face. Thank you for the $20 though. Anyway, you talk a lot about these cops, but have you ever thought about how that was probably the longest 77 minutes of the surviving kids' lives for the kids? Okay, yeah. But y'all not talking about the kids. Y'all not talking about the teachers. You talking about the cops, so I'm addressing the cops. I bet there was a long time for the cops. And I bet there was a long time for the cop that was outside knowing that his kid is dead. I bet that was a long time for him too. I love that you talking right. Thank you so much for the super chat. Scottum. YouTube for being objective. I said YouTube. Thank you for being objective in the face of misguidance or misguided hate and anger. Only one person is at fault for these deaths, and that's the old dummy that went in there and shoot people. Appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat. And putting on the uniform means nothing. Okay. Some people who wear it are trash. Some people who wear it are heroes. Stop placing a banner on all of them. Well, let me tell you this. Do you wear the uniform? Probably not. And I think it takes a level of heroism to put the uniform on to start with. Because that person, and especially if you're not wearing a uniform, that person have enough balls to do something you wouldn't even start doing. Going through the police academy ain't easy. You could say the person went rogue. You say whatever you want to say. Going through the police academy ain't easy. Putting your life on the line ain't easy. You can be a bad cop and you still, in my opinion, bad cops are more heroic than half of the people in the comment section talking trash. They still put their life on the line, and they dirty cops. And you can, and some of y'all won't put your life on the line for your own kids. I put a badge. I put a hero on everybody with the badge unless they prove me differently. So unless you prove that you're not a hero, you're a hero in my eyes. Just like people who serve in the military. Unless you prove to me that you're not a hero, you put on that uniform, you swear that oath that 99% of people in America will never do, you're a hero in my eyes. Hughes Fan Brandon, I'm curious if you believe that some officers join the force for intentions other than protecting and serving. If so, do you think that would be willing to risk their lives? I 100% think that some officers do. Now, here's the thing. Like, that's a good question. I think that some officers. Now, let me say it in two ways. There has to be officers that join the police department for whatever reasons. The problem is you don't get to choose if you're going to risk your life or not. Every time you go, if you went to being a police officer to get some money, when you put that uniform on and you go outside in that patrol car, you're already risking your life. At any point, somebody can ambush you or whatever. So maybe that's somebody stupid enough to put on a uniform because they want to look sexy, but you risk your life every time you put that uniform on and go outside. And I just think it's not about, especially in these situations, I don't think it's about a person risking their lives or not. I think it's the fact that everybody can tell what they're going to do until they get punched in the face, right? Everybody's a SWAT operator until the shooting start happening. So I think that these people are humans. Sometimes humans make mistakes. Sometimes this stuff can be too big for people that are average, normal people that are just willing to put the uniform on. When you put the uniform on, you don't somehow go into a trance and all of a sudden you get smarter, you're braver, you're more courage. I mean, that just don't happen, man. Good average people like you and I put the uniform on because they are willing to do what other people are not willing to do. They don't get superpowers. They don't get 9 lives. They just made a decision that most people would never make because they know that they're immortal. And these people know that they're immortal. And they're just willing to die for it, and other people aren't willing to die for it. But great question. I love the question. Honey Badger, as a parent, what should they feel about child loss? Honestly, respectful. How do we trust any safety for our babies? Where do parents go from here? I mean, leading cause of death for minors were car accidents before 2022. It was car accidents. The only reason that car accidents is not the leading cause of death for minors now is because during COVID, nobody was driving around. But for the longest, the leading cause of death for young people, minors, were accidents. And I feel like people don't have that level of fear that when they get in the car, that somehow the best chance or the greatest chance of their child dying is in this car. So let's put it in perspective. Put your children in a position that they can be as safe as possible, and then you got to let God deal with the rest of it. Your kid can die in a school shooting, and some of the kids in the classroom didn't die. They rescued like 8 kids out of that classroom that played dead. Some of them didn't. They were hiding. Some of them didn't die. So, how lucky are you that your kid is in a classroom where you shot 100 rounds and your kid never got shot? So you can't put too much weight on things you cannot control. Go to your schools if you're worried about school shootings. Go to your schools. Make sure they have proper security in place. Make sure you advocate for those things. And then hopefully you leave the rest of it to God. And that's all I got to say. We can't get overzealous and feeling too much fear about things we can't control. Most kids in the United States of America will never be involved in an active shooter situation. I would argue that not one person is watching this live. There's 5,300 people watching this live. Not one person experienced an active shooter situation. And that's a lot of people. And if somebody has, it's probably 1 or 2 people out of thousands and thousands of people. It's very rare. I'm not saying you need to let your guard down, but it's very rare. Don't get ahead of yourself. Pray. Try to put your children in the best position you can, and that'll be that. Thank you for sharing the updates on I appreciate it. Follow up. Keep it real. 100%. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. Y'all give me hope, the people that you can disagree with me, man. I really don't care if you disagree with me. I just want you to disagree with me with facts. There was a thing in here, man. The super chats are coming way too fast. Let me try to go from here. There are leftists talking points. I don't have to be a cop to see why cops or groups of cops failed miserably. 77 minutes to check to see if the door was even unlocked. Talk all you want. You can't defend that. They effed up. Woo. Don't y'all see the trend? 77 minutes. 77 minutes. That's the war cross. 77 minutes. Just like leftists, man. Just like leftists. 77 minutes from when? From when? From the shooting? Okay, the first 4 minutes, how does that ain't the cops' fault. And then they go to talking points. They miserably failed. They took 77 minutes to check the door. Anyway, no, Brandon, I don't wear a uniform. Not my call. Okay. But I have been around shooting and the punching. And I would and I will judge those who say they swear to protect and serve by their actions. Yeah, okay. You told me all I need to know. You just said, I don't wear the uniform. That's not my calling. Well, shut up then. Here's another 20. Appreciate it. I was a fan of yours, but there was something wrong with you. A normal citizen can be braver than a cop. Can't fathom how you judge this crap. Well, bye. Thank you for the 20. I'm going to go wipe my butt with your 20. No, I'm playing. Matter of fact, I'm going to take your 20 and give it away to somebody that needs it. And they could use it, because I used to be a fan of yours. I mean, I don't know what some people are thinking. I don't care. You don't want to be a fan of mine because you disagree with me? Okay, that's fine. Thank you. You're just like a leftist. And citizens can be braver than cops. Rarely. Think about what you're saying for a minute. I want people to think about what you're saying. Citizens can be braver than cops. Do you not understand that what you're saying is that a citizen has signed up to be a cop? So at minimum, a citizen is a citizen like you. They just decide to be braver than you by risking their lives every day. Cops, it's like cops come from a different world. We get cops from over here. We get citizens over here. These are citizens like you. They put on a uniform. That in and of itself is an action braver than if you don't put a uniform on. You can't risk your life at McDonald's or wherever you work. You ain't risk your life at Bank of America. I'm not saying your job isn't important, but you ain't risking your life. Cops don't just sit in the car all day and twiddle their thumbs unless you work in some ritzy part of town. It's drama every day. Anyway, out of the people that are giving Mr. Tatum a hard time and just, dang it, the super chats are disappearing. They get timed out and they disappear. So I'm sorry if I missed your super chat. I really apologize. I used to be your fan. Tatum is never wrong. God bless you. Hey, I'm wrong sometimes, but I ain't wrong about this. Why won't you go back on Good Luck America Live and talk to Rick? Don't act like you don't know who he is. Somebody wrote that. Like, I know who Rick is. I emailed Rick. I ain't get a response back from Rick. I super chatted $100 to Rick channel. Ain't nobody worried about Rick. Like people act like I'm afraid. Ain't nobody worried about nobody on YouTube. You know, you won't go. You're afraid to go on Rick's channel, Nick. That's what they say. You're afraid to go on Rick's channel. Who is Rick? I know who he is. I thought I liked his content. I went on his channel before. He was talking, and I said, "Give me the link. I'll go on live." And I went on live with him. You're afraid of Rick. I just say people just get. It's just that social media just burn people's brains. You're afraid of Rick. Afraid of just talking to nobody, man. I just so happen to have a lot of stuff that I do. I'm an entrepreneur. I don't just do YouTube. You know what I'm saying? So I got a lot of stuff that I do. I don't have time. I emailed Rick and I never got a response back. Now it could be a possibility that I put the wrong email in. Okay. I thought I copied it correctly and I didn't get an email back from Rick. So what would you have done if you were in command of the unit? I respect anyone who wants to put their life on the line for the fellow officers or fellow humans, but someone really wrong here. What lessons have we learned in your opinion? Great question. Thank you, Leanna. Thank you for the question. There's a lot of things. Back to blue. Thank you, Alon. I appreciate it. My Canadian friend. I think I like to be honest with people. Now, I can say what I believe I would do. I wasn't there, so I really don't know what I would have done. Now, me sitting in the comfort in my studio with this nice camera after doing my syndicated radio show, it's unfair for me to say what I would have done with 100% conviction. However, the way I think this should have happened is I honestly believe that when the officers took the initial shots and then they retreated back through the hallway, I felt like that they should have tried to make another approach. Because after he had shot, he had stopped shooting for a long period of time. And I felt like that they should have tried to make some more approaches, maybe even try to distract from the window. There's a lot to be learned. I can't go over it all, but there's a lot to be learned on everybody's front, from the school to the training, to interagency response, to dispatch. Everybody can learn something differently. But one thing I think that's notable is that you need to communicate better, right? Everybody needs to be on the same page. If there's an active shooter situation, it never ceases to be an active shooter unless the guy's dead. That's something that I think that maybe get lost in training. And that's something that they don't train you for. Like, what happens if an active shooter is locked in a room that you can't get into? Is it still an active shooter? You know, that's the thing that they don't train you for. We never did active shooter training where we get to a point where we can't breach a door because we have no tools, we have no keys, and we're just sitting outside the door. That has never been a part of any training that I've ever done. So if I was on SWAT team, so I think outside the box. But if you're a regular patrol officer, you've never been in the shooting in your career, and you get into the situation, it's very difficult to think under pressure like this for the average human being. But I love the question. I really do think that it's very difficult to speak about unless I was physically there. No, I won't shut up. What if you aren't a cop and you don't get to hold your cops to account? And yeah, I'm sending these because I might disagree with you, but I'm happy to support your stuff. Well, I agree with you. I appreciate the support. But see, there's a difference between what Liana said and what you saying. She made her statement and she's asking me questions that are reasonable. You are asking accusatory questions. Now, you can have an opinion about law enforcement, but you can't act like you would do something that they wouldn't do. It's just, I think it's not rational to put yourself in that perspective. You would do something they wouldn't do. Just slow down, man. Just understand I ain't never been a cop. I can't understand why they didn't do certain things, but I don't know. That's a fair way to put it. Unless you were a cop, then you can make some judgments based on your tactical experience and you've been in this situation before. I want to hear from the officers. What were they thinking? What did they see? Why didn't they go in? They will tell you, I'm sure, well, I didn't go in because of this. And then once you hear what they've said, it's fair to make a judgment and say, oh, that don't make no sense. Or you can say, okay, I see. You thought the door was locked. Is that reasonable? Yes. Is that the right decision in hindsight? No. But it's reasonable to think that the door may have been locked. It's not unreasonable to believe that. And it's easier said than done to tell a person, go take a dome shot when we already know the door is locked. Go take a dome shot. If the school doors were generically or generally open, then this would be, in my opinion, I think it would be a harsher critique. But if every door in the school is locked, every door is locked. The teachers cannot unlock the door. You have to use a key to unlock the door. So every door in the school is locked. All the doors back here is locked. All the doors in this hallway is locked. Somehow that one door to that classroom was malfunctioning. It's not reasonable to think that they should know that. But in hindsight, if they'd have tried one more time, they would have been able to get into the room. Why does it seem like I'm watching a different video than everyone else? That sick person killed them in the 2.5 minutes before the cops even caught up to him. The last shot I heard were fired at the cops. I agree. I don't know what movie, I don't know what video they watch. It did look like he killed all these people at the beginning, but I get it that people have critiques. That's fine. Thank y'all for joining the Tatum Squad. I got 2 people. Sharon. I think Sharon joined twice. Maybe she joined and then unjoined. Maybe she upgraded after she joined. Why isn't anyone talking about the fact that he used a $3,000 Daniel Defense AR-15 question mark? Where did he get the money? He had no job, poor grandparents. Well, I'm sorry. I love your super chat, but he did have a job. They spoke about this in an investigation, how he got the money. So Let me explain it because some people may not know how he got the money. I think I'm right at an hour. So technically, he worked at a job where he earned money at like Jack in the Box. He told people that he was going to work enough to buy a gun. Now, he had a joint account with his grandmother. And so he had money in it. He used the debit card from the money he saved plus the money she had to go and buy an AR-15. Now, I don't know if that Daniel Defense was $3,000 because I got a Daniel Defense. And my Daniel Defense, ultra lightweight Daniel Defense was $1,700, I think, or $20-some hundred. It wasn't that expensive. So I don't know if his Daniel Defense was $3,000. It may have been. Maybe he got the new ones. The one I seen in there wasn't $3,000, but regardless, he used the joint account, he used a debit card, and he was able to buy that gun. My grandmother told me about one day when everybody went wrong, when everything went wrong on the battlefield. Fought in World War II in Korea. My country was rising before communism. Ethiopia, he froze for 20 minutes. Worst time of his life. Lions lead by sheep. I'm confused because I can't read, but I love you guys anyway. Let's see. Some of y'all leftists care more about proving Tatum wrong than the actual kids. Oh, I forgot. Y'all don't care about the kids. No, they don't care about no kids. They don't care nothing about these kids. They want to get me. You ain't hurt me, brother. You see all these people watching and you see all these YouTube videos that I do every day. I couldn't care less if you mad at me. You know what I mean? If you're fair about it, I'll give you a discussion. It's always the police fault. Never the thug or the idiot who committed the act. Thank God. In police work, there's always going to be something that can be done better after the fact. People should hush. That won't put on the uniform. Thank you. Where can I find this super chat and put you up on the screen? Where's she at? It's got to be up here somewhere. I can put that on the screen. Thank God. Thank you for having sense. Because some people just they just don't get it, man. It's always a police fault, man. If they'd have broken there and end up shooting one, God dang it. If they'd have broken there and end up shooting one of them kids, people be mad. If they'd have went in there and you know, they'd have went in there too fast, they'd be mad. They went in there too slow, they'd be mad. Thank you for the super chat. It says, love your show. Every call on the job is different. We need more consistent training. I agree 1,000%. My name, Go Metro. I think that's how you say it. All right, fair. I'll be more tactful. I guess the situation makes me sick. I agree. I do not believe it would have. I do not believe I would have acted in the same way as these cops, even if I may have made mistakes that got me hit. Now, I hear you. I think the people hear you. But just be fair and admit that that's what you think. And you understand that if you were there, you may not do what you think you would have done. And if we can agree to that, I'm with you. If you can agree to, I think I would have done something different, but I don't know. I mean, these guys knew the kids. They work at the school. Some of these guys work at the school. Chief Arredondo, his in-law she died in the classroom. One of his buddies, who's a family member through marriage or something like that, he was one of the officers in the hallway. I think the officer here at the end, kid, was in there that died. And I'm like, if they didn't do nothing, I need to know what they were thinking. Who am I to say I would have done this? And that guy kid was in there and he didn't do nothing. So maybe I need to figure out why he didn't do nothing. I'm going to read the super chat off the screen. If you've never been depressed, should you not give advice to someone who's filled with it? Sure, it is relevant if someone weighs in with police experience, but I find being dismissive inappropriate. Well, so, okay, think about this. Think about this for a minute. If you never dealt with depression in your life, what value are you going to add to a person that's depressed? You can add an assumption. You can add what you think they should do, what you think is going on with them, versus a person who's been depressed before. They know what depression is. They know what it feels like. They've been depressed. Those are two different arguments. Nobody's saying that you can't ask questions about police and you can't make a statement about police. There's a difference between questioning and making a declaratory accusation. There's a difference. You can question the police. Why not? Everybody should question what the police are doing. But when you start making statements to, they shouldn't have done that, I should have done this, I should have done, woulda, coulda, shoulda, then what you're doing is you're making a statement, an ignorant statement with minimal knowledge. That's like me telling a brain surgeon what he should be doing on brain surgery. Why would he use a scalpel? I wouldn't have done that. Look, you didn't go to school to do this. Do you know what the protocol is for this? Have you ever gone through training? Have you gone through med school? Have you ever done open heart surgery? Have you ever done brain surgery? Have you ever been in a hospital in the ICU? Well, then if you don't know all these things, just say that I'm confused about what they were doing. I don't believe that looked like that was the right thing to do. But then again, I don't know what the right thing is. I've never been a cop. I've never been trained. I don't know if they're abiding by training or not. I don't know if I wasn't there. I mean, I just find it hard to believe that people think that all these guys are just, all these guys are cowards. They all scared at the same time. You know, it's more to it. Just understand that it's probably more to it, and be open-minded enough to receive that. DeMarcus, what's up, my brother? Everyone's saying the cops were cowards. Sound like the idiot who says he didn't do nothing. 100%. They're cowards. They're cowards. Come on, man. Brandon, the group think in the comments is mind-boggling. It's almost like they'll rather try to bully you into for having your opinion than listen to the reason of Uvalde. 100%. But I want people to understand this, that's the way people are. They don't like what you say. They don't care about the truth. I almost didn't make this video because I'm a waste. You know, some people I feel like I'm wasting my time. I did all the research. I got people telling me what happened in the hallway. I put this stuff together and compile it that it's usable for other people, for them to do it, because nobody watched that 4.5 hour interview with Congress. I'm sure most people didn't. I watched 4.5 hours. That took a lot of my day to do that. But they don't care that you watched the video. They don't care what the truth is. They make their mind up. Just like Trump. They don't care what Trump really did. They hate the man. They don't care. Anyway, that is true. It is just my belief. Only actions in that moment really matters is in the end. All right. God bless you, brother. Stay safe. Appreciate you. Thank you for coming around and being reasonable with me. I love you. I appreciate you, man. But I like it when people are reasonable. It is unreasonable for at least one of those officers to just go in. Why not? The thing disappeared. Let me see if I can find it. All right. And I'm going to read a couple more super chats and I think I'm done. I can't find that super chat that just came up, Nick. Let me see. I should have the other screen open because it memorized all the super chats on the back end of YouTube. This one doesn't memorize them. Like once they time out, they gone. God dang it. I'm trying to find it. It must be up here if I scroll up enough. Okay, I think this one right here. It says, is it unreasonable for at least one of the officers to just run in? Why not at least try to potentially be successful instead of not trying at all? I see from a layman's perspective, from a person that's just watching, that I can see why you think that, but if just running in was that simple, I think that they would have done it. I think that it posed a very complicated situation that many people aren't willing to consider. Like, if you think the door is locked, I think most people may find that not to be reasonable to just run in. I can see why they did. I can see why they did not run in, and I can see why they should have ran in. If an officer on the scene said, man, they were shooting through the walls, we didn't want to get the other kids shot, we believe the cop got out his shot and killed everybody. The people may not want to hear that, but he may have a slight point in his mind. Not in my mind, not in your mind, but in his mind. that they didn't want any more kids to die because he already killed all the kids in that classroom. There was nothing that they can do. They were dead behind a locked door that they couldn't get through. If that was their thinking, I don't know what they were thinking, then I can see why they may have done the things that they did. Did they make what they did right? No, but that gives context to why they may have done that. That it wasn't cowardice. It was just the fact that they perceived the situation to be a way in which it wasn't. But you have no issue commenting on the Ahmaud Arbery shooting. Okay. I have no issue commenting on Ahmaud Arbery shooting. Are you trying to say I can't comment on Ahmaud Arbery shooting because what? I don't know if you understand it or not, but McMichael was a former police officer. Gregory McMichael was. Travis McMichael was also a police officer in the military. And then also the investigation was done by police officers. And also I've been on investigations before. I've been in the court of law. So I can give commentary. I'm also a citizen, and I also was a police officer. And I also carry a gun legally now that I'm not a cop anymore. So what better person to comment on Ahmaud Arbery than a person who's a citizen, a person who was a cop, commenting on former cops' behavior against a citizen in an investigation done by police that was played out in the court of law. But you can't fix it, y'all. You can't fix it. And I hate that it was a brother that asked that question, because sometimes I wonder about some of y'all. But now some of my boys, DeMarcus, man, y'all, they got it on lock. All right, let's see. I'm trying to keep up with y'all's super chats. The Border Patrol agent who took part in the killing claimed there were kids still in the school by the time he got there. If there were kids still in the school, what would make them think the one with the shooter got out? Well, good question. I think that it's more complicated, right? The BP guy that showed up, he never went into the hallway. So he's showing up and he don't know what has happened and what has not happened. When the Border Patrol guy that showed up that you're referring to that came from the barbershop, he said there was no shooting. He heard no shooting while he was there. And so his objective was to evacuate kids out of all the classrooms across from the shooter classroom. Now, when he shows up, people are already evacuating students. So he could have been under the impression that the kids may have already been evacuated. And now they got him cornered in a classroom by himself, and the kids are not in the classroom. So, and that's just based on his own testimony. He gave a testimony on the news, and he said those officers did everything that they could, and that when he first showed up to the scene, he noticed they had guys in the hallway. He started helping in the evacuation process. So, good question. That stuff was answered in the interview he did. Lions led by sheep. Sorry, Officer Tatum. My granddad watched a friend die in Korea because their new commander was a fool. It haunts him forever. One love from London. I love it. Thank you so much for clarifying that. I get what you're saying now. Yeah, man. I mean, I get it, man. Everybody can't be perfect, though. Some bootlicker. I clicked on that. If you say you're a bootlicker, that ain't changed nothing in my life. I'm gonna go down there and smoke a cigar and hang out with my wife and my beautiful son. And bootlicking, then you need to be a bootlicker too. I've been cordial, but I'm going to tell you this is disgusting. God loves the oppressed, and children died. What are you talking about? This is disgusting, Brandon. How dare you give insight into tactical experience that you have? How dare you tell us the truth and you speak up with the information that you know based on the investigation? How dare you? How dare you, Brandon? How dare you give your experience and apply it to the situation and walk us through what you know and what the investigation has led and your opinions as a former SWAT operator? How dare you, Brandon? God loves the oppressed and the children died. Okay, sir. What about the father? What about the men who kid was in there and died? You're calling that man a coward. What about the guys who went in there and killed them and had to deal with these dead children and nightmares and not being able to sleep for the next several days? What about them? I think God loves them too. But you are judging them and you bringing God into this. But you're judging them. You don't know them. You haven't talked to them. You haven't heard to them. You ain't never been to Robb Elementary. But you don't mind judging them, call me disgusting, and say that God loves the children. God loves these officers too. Oh, I guess God can't love the officers because you disagree with them. All right. I'm almost tired of y'all, tired of arguing with people. Do you believe that the situation that this would cause a more reason to arm schools and public buildings in Americans more because of this tragic incident? I don't know. I don't know. You know, it's like everything is not black and white, right? They had a police department, and this kid ended up catching them after they had a graduation. So I would argue that normally there must be a school resource officer within proximity. It appears that this was a unique day on a graduation in the school year ceremony that was very unique. And it really exposed a lot of worst case scenarios that I think aren't generally going to happen in a typical school day. But I do think that we should consider schools that don't have nothing, that they should have police officers there. And they should have people that are willing to protect the children, and they should lock their doors. Because as much as you want to talk about the cops and arming people, it's going to mean minimal if you don't lock the doors. They had a shooting in Duncanville, and the guy couldn't get into school, and the cops shot him outside the school because the doors were locked. He couldn't get into school, and then he went through the lobby and he got shot by one of the employees, not the police, but the school teacher. Or somebody shot him. And then he went out, tried to get into school, he couldn't, and they shot him in the parking lot. Those measures will be more effective than even putting people with guns in the school. If a guy can't get into school, then that poses a bigger issue. Isn't the SWAT procedure to try the door first? On a barricaded subject, once you have people telling you that the door is locked, no. The SWAT, let me explain this real quick. If you are controlling the situation as a SWAT operator, yeah, you try the door first. When you are responding to somebody else's situation, they're telling you that the door is locked. It wouldn't be unreasonable to not waste your operator's time in playing with the door when somebody already told you the door is locked. And you see people trying other doors, trying to key in the doors. So your presumption as a SWAT operator showing up to somebody else's call and they tell you the doors are locked, you need to treat it like the doors are locked. If you are running the scene and it's your call, you know you haven't charged the door, all of those things, if it's tactically reasonable, you could try the door, right? But, you know, some situations you don't want to get caught in the middle of the door playing with the door handle, right? You don't want to get caught in the middle. But what we were trained on the SWAT team is that in a situation where we get to the scene and it's, you know, we run in the scene or whatever, we'll typically try the door if that's a safe approach to the door, meaning that if we can get close enough to the door without being seen, we're getting ready to ram the door, we may try the door first. If we in a situation where we have to make a dynamic entry, we ain't trying nothing. We finna ram the door, and that's gonna be murder she wrote. So, good, decent question. I got to get up out of here. I think that's all the super chats. Amazing Lucas was ranked. Look at Amazing Lucas' channel and look at my channel. You tell me who's right. Amazing Lucas used to have 100,000 more subscribers than me. And that fool then went off the deep end somewhere. And now he has minimal subscribers. And he makes his living talking about Brandon Tatum. I think that's it, Nick. Is that it? All right. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Thank you for listening. I'll catch you on the next one. I'm out.